GIGACHAD, or Liu Huanhua as I regretfully had to refer to him during the official world's commentary, has taken the weightlifting world by storm. And it's no wonder why. 90 kilo strict presses, 100 kilo dips, a pretty impressive physique. But really, it's because of this moment.
How much does he have left?
Wow. A lot. That's how much.
This video is brought to you by the Weightlifter's Guide to the Snatch, but more on that later. But is he the next Tian Tao? I think he just might be, and in this video, I'll explain why. For those who don't know, this is Tian Tao, and this is Liu Huanhua, or GIGACHAD. Tian Heart Attack Tao hasn't been inducing many heart attacks recently, mainly due to a lack of competition. But here, he's been giving off Big Brother vibes to Liu Huanhua. Not in the dystopian surveillance type of way, but the actual fraternal, looking after, passing on the torch type of way. What you'll notice throughout this video is the obvious care for Liu Huanhua that Tian Tao shows, in a way I've never seen him be towards another athlete. He clearly has deep care for Liu Huanhua. Maybe it's because he wants to see him take over the platform that he himself has built up over the last few years, but perhaps without all of those misses, just the medals and world records. But does Tian Tao still have the hunger to compete himself? Will he still build back to try to take the top spot that lifters like Carlos Nassar, Antonino Pizzolato and Kedemir Vainea have taken? Will either he or Liu Huanhua be able to top the table? Okay, you know what, I'm going to refer to Liu Huanhua as GIGACHAD. It's more fun, it's pretty accurate, and I'm not on official commentary right now. The name, for those interested, was coined by Squat Joke journalist. At this World Championships, Giga and Tian trained together the whole time. Or perhaps more accurately, Giga was peaking for his international debut, probably the biggest moment of his life, and world record holder Tian Tao was sort of training alongside him, acting in a supporting role, mentoring him, navigating him through the turbulence of the largest world championships ever. And I've seen this sort of thing happen several times in the sport ever since I started filming these elite lifters. I saw it first with Olympic champion Ilya Ilyin as he shared his knowledge with Miso Asona, who went on to win the Olympics. Then it was Olympic champion Ruslan Nurudinov, I actually never know how to pronounce his last name, who did the exact same thing with Akbar Jurayev, who also then went on to win the Olympics. And I really feel the same thing is happening here between Tian Tao, who didn't win the Olympics but did win Worlds once, and GIGACHAD, who perhaps might go on to win one of these major events. You can actually see throughout this whole week of training that we're watching here, Tian Tao observing Giga with the utmost of interest, talking with him, keeping a very keen eye on him. For Tian, this World Championships meant very little. Not only was it his 6th World Championships, but also he wasn't planning on competing. Whereas for Giga, it was a big deal, and I think it became clear that Tian wanted to ensure that China's representation in this category was as strong as possible. In part because he, Tian Tao, had to some degree made this category a Chinese category. You see, historically, as the weight categories go up, China's dominance decreases. On the men's side, that is, weight class has absolutely no bearing on the Chinese women's team for some reason. But the lighter categories in weightlifting have been absolutely dominated by the male Chinese weightlifters over the last 2 decades. Right from the old 56 kilo category, now really the 61s with Li Fabin, up to the old 77 kilo category with Liu Xiaozhen, and now currently the 81s with Li Dayan. It's rare that one of the categories within that region hasn't had a dominant Chinese lifter over the years who is nigh on unbeatable. If someone says 69, you say Liao Hui. If someone says 73, you say Zhi Ziyong. If someone says 77, you say Liu Xiaozhen. But if someone says 85 or 89, you say Rostami, Dimas, Asadidze, Rybakov. Or 94 or 96, you say Ilya, Kaki, Muradi. But would you ever say Tian Tao? Maybe. I mean, he is amazing. He's a world record holder, and he won the World Championships. once. But there wasn't really ever a Tian Tao era where he dominated. Prior to 2019, he was up there as a medalist, but that's about it. As an 85, he couldn't beat Rostami or Okulov, and as a 96, he couldn't beat Sarab. If anything, the middleweight categories in weightlifting have been dominated by the Iranians and the Russians, or Eastern European countries. Tian Tao isn't the only 85, 89, 96 kilo Chinese lifter who's tried to crack their way into the mix. Some of you may remember Liu Yong, who won the 85 kilo division at the Beijing Olympics in 2008 and then the World Championships in 2009. He was a very solid middleweight lifter for China, but he never dominated. He was overshadowed by Andrei Rybakov of Belarus. He certainly opened the door for Chinese middleweight lifters and then allowed for Tian Tao to open it up a bit more. But no doubt it was Tian's cleaning abilities, his dramatic saves and general competition antics that made him as popular as he is, and has to some degree covered up the uncomfortable truth that China is still searching for a truly dominant 89 kilo weightlifter. So, could this man be him? This GIGACHAD, as he has so quickly become known. This exercise that Giga is performing, the deficit snatch grip RDL, is a strength exercise that, when coupled with a primer like the below the knee no foot hang snatch and a technical variation like performing the line drill, can do wonders in fixing a technical error, in this case jumping forwards. It's actually the grouping of exercises that we recommend in the Weightlifter's Guide to the Snatch to fix this exact error. In the book, Max Aita and Joshua Gibson offer up a movement primer, technical variation and strength movement to help fix each error. We've got great videos of every exercise too. You can go get the Weightlifter's Guide to the Snatch written by Max and Josh now. Depending on when you're watching this, there's probably a 40% discount on it too. Your Snatch will thank you. And if you're still wondering why Liu Huanhua has become known as GIGACHAD, hopefully this video, this shot, explains it better. Those 160 kilo snatches from the last session were the most we saw Giga work up to in the build-up for this World Championships. Tian Tao didn't go so heavy in the snatch, though he did clean and jerk up to 180 kilos to match GIGACHAD. But who did it better? At this point, we still assumed that Tian Tao would be lifting at this World Championships, though we were of course confused as to his training. Usually at this point he'd have built up to a 170 kilo snatch by now, and probably a 200 kilo clean and jerk. He'd have been focused on his own performance, but he was almost just training to keep things ticking over, if that. His pause squats from earlier in the week were no doubt impressive, but they weren't heavy for him. His snatch pulls from earlier on looked as though he was just glancing around at what he could do, where he could fit in, without getting in the way of the actual athletes. And watching Tian Tao cleaning here made me remember why he is known as the best cleaner in the world. I don't believe anyone in recent memory has made cleans look as nice as him. His positioning is picture perfect, his tempo is rhythmical, and the speed and power he generates is unmatched. Some of you may recall his battle with Sarab Muradi in 2018, where they forced each other to massive world record attempts. The world record before this session was 225 kilos, and yet, having both set world records on their second attempts, they ended up way up into the 230s. And the way that Tian Tao cleaned 236 kilos was utterly unbelievable. I distinctly remember hearing the audience gasp, as well as the friends that I was with when he did it. No, he didn't beat Sarab in the end, but he did show that he was the best cleaner, by a long way. Tian Tao always said that he preferred being an 85 to a 96, and so this 89 kilo category seems to be pretty ideal for him. His small hands that have always been an issue for him in the snatch, particularly the more he weighs, will be less of a problem, as will the food intake that caused him so many problems in this heavier category. I don't think that this is it for Tian Heart Attack Tao. I think this is more of a Nuruddinov Akbar situation. And what I mean by that is that I believe Tian Tao will get back into great shape and make a push for more world titles, and hopefully, finally, another spot on an Olympic team in 2024. Just much like how Nuruddinov was still setting world records while nurturing drive to success. My assumption is that we will see Tian Tao at the Asian Championships this May in great shape. Hopefully better shape than Giga is in, which has to be great shape because Giga, as you'll see later in the video, was in the best condition of his life here. If Tian Tao doesn't compete at the Asian Championships, or even the World Cup a month after, then I think that's it for the legend. But something tells me that won't be the case. Will Giga beat Tian? I doubt it. Giga's true ascension will either be after Tian retires or the cause of Tian's retirement. With any luck, we'll just be throwing another absolute monster into the mix. The 89 kilo session at this World Championships was incredible to watch. Giga, who wasn't even in the conversation in my mind for a medal, stepped up to fill Tian's shoes as best as possible. Giga's best clean and jerk going into this meet was 210 kilos, so anything above that seemed pretty much off limits. But as it turned out, there would be 12 attempts over 210 kilos in this session. And GIGACHAD did things that only a GIGACHAD could do, making all 3 clean and jerks, and being bested by only one man in the lift, Carlos Nassar, aka TerraChad. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.
Wow,
Yeah,
very
that's
strong. He has... This is a smart call. Looks like they're playing a little bit more conservative with him, letting him take big jumps. He clearly has the strength to make those jumps. That proved almost no resistance to him.
So I believe we saw him snatch 170 kilos at the Chinese Autumn Games this year as his best. I don't believe in national competition he's made over 210 kilos in the clean and jerk, however. Okay, the blues are on the bar.
Wow.
Things are getting a little bit crazy here. 5 attempts remain. They'll all be at 215 or more.
Meanwhile, Carlos Nassar, clean and jerk, 220 on the board, wants that world record. 215. He looked incredibly strong throughout his other lifts.
So this to move ahead of Kianush.
Going to be in the
to
clean
bronze.
for him. Can he recover?
It's a
it's a
tough
grind.
stand. How much does he have left?
Wow.
A lot. That's how much.
Very powerful
Liu
jerk.
Huanhua
I think those dips
guarantees the
have paid
medal.
off.
Yeah. You know, if he'd been dipping with 75, I'm not sure he'd have made that jerk.